Well, welcome back to Unapologetic Badasses, the online series. And hi, my name is Maria Leandra, and you might be wondering, who is this woman and why has she hijacked Val's interview chair? Well, it's because today I have the honor of interviewing the unapologetic badass herself, Valerie Fuentes. She's given me the honor of actually turning the tables and putting her in the interviewee seat. So you're in for an absolute treat today. Welcome, welcome. And Val, first of all, I love you. I've known you for a couple of years, and I continue to be amazed at how you've just stepped into authenticity and inspired so many people to do the same. I treasure you. And why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Of course. What do you want to know? Where do I start?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd love to know what inspired you to create this series. Why are you so passionate about this series in particular?
The series specifically. Okay. So last March, I hosted the Overcoming Medical Hair Loss Summit, and I realized after I did that. So during that summit, I wanted to provide tools and resources to this community. For people that are going through medical hair loss, I still have alopecia. I have dealt with alopecia for, I want to say, like 13 years now. There were a lot of things missing for me. I knew nothing about it. I had no support, I didn't know where to go. Google was my best friend, but sometimes that's not very helpful. And so with the Overcoming Medical Hair Loss Summit, I wanted to provide all the tools and resources that I didn't have for many, many years. And I interviewed two women, actually one, two, like about three, that actually have alopecia and are now living and thriving with it. And those were the interviews that had, the most comments and most questions. And so I really got that in our community, it's really important to meet these people. Not a lot of people that have alopecia step up into sharing for obvious reasons. And so I really wanted to create something where I could highlight all the things that we have done to get to the other side and just completely live a full life with hair loss. So I gathered 16 amazing women from all over the world, different backgrounds, different ages, anywhere from, 18 to 65, from the UK, from Australia, from Canada, from here. To show you that, okay, first of all, we're not special. So if we can do it, you can do it too. And that was the main purpose of the series, is just to show that you're not alone and you get to live a full life. So I wanted you to hear from, not only from me, but from more women from everywhere, that this is possible and you can do it too.
Yeah. I find it so incredibly inspiring because these are real stories, and I've had the privilege of experiencing, as you've shared on social, and as you've just living from the perspective of like a colleague who sees you and sees you shine. And it brings me back to moments and conversations that you and I have had, and I think about one in particular where you were really seriously considering coming out of the closet that you'd been hiding in, that you'd been protecting, understandably so, this very tender, very vulnerable part of you. And as I think back and I like move us here into the present time interviewing you about this, I'm like, I get all the chills because I know how much it meant for you and how brave and courageous a step it was for you to even begin to articulate it out to people who maybe didn't know you as intimately. So tell us, if you could share some of the highlights of your journey, some of the milestones that marked the progression of you understanding, that you were living with this condition and growing through, and from the point now of really being a vocal advocate for this community of women and men. Which ones stand out for you as most important and most powerful?
I want to say that I don't know if it's the most powerful, but life-changing moment for me was my lowest low. Because so I started losing my hair at 18. I was diagnosed about 24 years old, and I was in complete denial. And then from then, I just started losing my hair more and more. So even though I was, mentally in denial, like the mirror doesn't lie. So, and then that just threw me into a huge depression. But to the point that I didn't want to live anymore, because I started wondering, like, who's going to love me? I mean, who's going to want to marry me? Who's going to once you hear that you have alopecia, and this is, no, I feel like we need to educate our dermatologists, or perhaps the doctors when they're delivering the news, because when you hear that, you have this condition and the explanation is your body is killing itself, right? Because that's the explanation of autoimmune disease. Immediately, it's almost like you're against yourself. I'm broken. I'm killing my own hair. There is nobody to blame. There is no explanation to it. It's just what's up. Yeah. And so I think that really sticks with you, and that just threw me into like a huge depression. And I think so that I think that was crucial, because your question was what moments were super defining. So my lowest low was a moment where I knew that I was either going to die or I was going to live with this. Like there was no other option, because that's how low I was at that point. And I chose to live, and it was legitimately a choice. And I think, to this day, that's when I learned the power of choice. Was at that moment, like I chose myself. I chose to live. And from then on, I just carried that through. And of course, I grew and developed myself through it. But like, that was the first thing, to make the choice that I wanted to live, and that I was going to live with this, not deal with it, but to live with it.
Yeah.
And then, so that was, I don't know, I want to say, my math is so terrible. So I don't know. I was 24. Then I went through college, and I think during college, that's when I lost the most hair. It was traumatizing. And what's interesting is that I decided that I had to compensate for it almost. It was kind of like, okay, so if you're not going to have any hair, then you're going to be awesome, and you're going to just rock whatever it is that you do. So from the moment I graduated, fast forward 5 to 6 years, I was obsessed with excellence. And so my corporate career just went like booming.
Yeah.
I went from, being a new hire to being HR for 1,200 people, supporting VPs, people overseas, managing a huge team, the biggest projects in the company, being the youngest doing this, the youngest doing that, representing the company everywhere, volunteering everywhere, getting all the awards in the world. So, I was literally just compensating. So I turned into complete perfectionist. I need to be the best, blah, blah, blah. And then I was in a car accident. What was that? I don't know, 6 years ago. That really shook me to the core, because I woke up in the ICU, and I was home for 3 months. And so I absolutely had to face myself. For 3 months, I was home alone. I lived alone. And that's, I want to say, when all the transformation happened. And I was 30 years old. And I just evaluated everything that had happened up until then. And that's when I really decided, you know what? I'm going to do something about it. Because I also was so tired of through all my 20s, I will spend 2 hours in the mirror trying to use pigments and colors and all the products and all the things. And I was so over that. I was so tired of spending hours every single day miserable in front of the mirror. So at 30, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to get hair.
Yeah.
So that was, that was also a game changer for me. But what I think it was so beautiful about it is that I worked on my mindset before I got the hair. And I think it makes a huge difference. I mean, obviously, I do think it can be different for everybody. But for me, I think that was the magic formula, was when I got my hair, I already knew like where I was going, and I already gone really deep and all those things. So when I got my hair, it was more of a choice instead of, like trying to mask or cope with
like
my
a
hair.
reaction. It was more of a deliberate, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then after that, started the journey of trying to get here. I was already a coach, but I was in the corporate world, doing business coaching. And then I want to say, this actually came to me, I want to say in 2017, almost 3 years ago, of I want to help this community. How am I going to help this community? And I did not want to focus on the problem because for so many years, I had focused on trying to regrow my hair and how am I going to fix this? And I know the more you focus on the problem, the more you're going to be stuck. So it took me a while to figure it out, like how do I help people in this community without focusing on the problem? Because I can't promise that your hair is gonna grow back, right? So like how can I really help? And being positive from the beginning, because I didn't want any sort of negativity, I didn't want any sadness. I just really want to embrace this. And so it took me, I want to say, a whole year and trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And then, when I finally got it, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing. It's like, surprise, in order to do that, you get to share with the world what you've been experiencing, which I haven't done before, which was a huge stretch for me. And yeah, so I had to also do that work. And then, yeah, here we are, fast forward 2 years later. I'm finally fully stepping into what I want to do, what I want to create. And I'm just so moved by the response that I'm getting, because never in a million years I would have thought that I was going to get the response that I'm getting. It's incredible.
Take us to that moment. And I'm sure, of course, it was a journey, and in you choosing to share your truth so powerfully. But take us to that moment where it was just like, there's no turning back now. Like this is it. I'm coming out and it's all the way. Like people are going to see the truest version of me. What was that like?
It's so interesting because it was definitely a process. Like I can't really say there was a specific moment. I want to say that I've known that I'm ready to do this. I don't know, for a couple of years now, but it was like, I think, okay, so I got to tell you that the hardest thing for me to be fully raw and authentic, and we can definitely, dive into that, was coming out to my husband. Because this wasn't even about others. Like I didn't care about my family. I didn't care about my friends. It was all about my husband. The most sacred, most important relationship in the world for me, because for me, my husband is everything. To me, coming out to him was like coming out to the world, right? Because so that's the moment that I felt free, was when I had that conversation with him, because, and I'm just going to tell you the whole story really quick.
Please. So I was going to ask, so please give it to us. It's so good.
Yeah. So in those 3 months that I was at home after my car accident, I decided that I was going to wear hair, and I actually, fun fact, I met him online. I also, like, those 3 months were life-changing for me, because I decided, you know what, I'm ready to be in a relationship, but in a serious relationship. I am ready to take care of, my hair loss. I just wanted to take my life to the next level. And so I got online, I went into Match. It wasn't all that great. Then I finally met my husband, but I met him 2 weeks before I got my first hairpiece.
Mm-hmm.
And I had already ordered it, so he met me with no hair. And I mean, with the 3 strands that I have. And so we actually went on a few dates during those couple weeks, and I was mortified because I already knew that hair was coming. And here I am, this guy that just seems so perfect. And how am I going to explain this to him?
Mm-hmm.
And this is just also to prove that men they don't pay attention to anything.
Fact.
I did.
Fun fact.
No, I was so crazy, and we should go to a bar, but make sure we go at night to the dark place in the city so you don't see my hair.
You were researching darkest bar in the city.
Totally. I want to say the first 4 days that we went to was all at night, all dark places, all no, the blue light. I know exactly what shows your bald spot. So we avoided all those places.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, sure. Long story short, I got my new hair. He didn't even say anything. I don't know if he noticed, he don't notice, whatever. But bottom line is that I got my first hairpiece, and then, we just got really serious. Years went by, and I started wearing extensions, and I will talk to him about it, but I never said I have alopecia. I said I deal with hair loss, and it's painful, and I just love hair, so I'm going to wear extensions, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't know the extent of the extensions.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it was 10 years to the date of when I was diagnosed for the first time, and I started thinking to myself, it's been 10 years. There has to be something. Somebody must have created something. There is no way that it's been 10 years, and in 10 years, nobody has discovered something for your hair loss. Let me go to the doctor again. So I went to a doctor, and so from the beginning, I started wearing a hairpiece, which is a hair system, just so you guys understand, for those of you that know the term.
Yeah, I'd love for you to describe a little bit as you're talking through it, a little more of that, the specifics, so that we can get a good picture.
Right. So it's a hair system, which is a topper. Basically, it's a topper. And it's my bio hair was weaved into the topper. So you know how toppers are just here. So my little bit of bio hair, I'll show you. This is really well. This is my new piece, so it's kind of hard to show you.
Gorgeous.
But, I had my my little bio hair just attached to it, and I will go get it adjusted every month. So for him, it wasn't a big deal because I pretty much had hair, right? It was attached to my head.
Mm-hmm.
I will shower, I will do all the things, work out, everything. I only had to go get it adjusted once a month and not worry about it. So it was perfect. And then, so when I decided to go to the doctor, you have to take off your hairpiece because how are they going to, look at your scalp? And then they had to get a biopsy and all this stuff. And of course, I made 100 excuses. I took the day off. I said that I was with my best friend, all this white lies. And I thought I was ready to hear again that I had alopecia, but it has been so long since I kind of gave up on trying to grow my hair or find a solution that I don't know. I really thought that I was ready for it. And after the biopsy, and here we go again, I get on paper 10 years later that I have alopecia. Androgenic alopecia. That wasn't a good day. And basically I went home and I was bawling.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if we were already married or not, but I couldn't, there was no way for me to hide how I was feeling. I could not hide it. I was just devastated. which was a surprise for me because I really thought that I got it, which also proves that this is a life journey process. Like you get to work on this forever. This is not something that you're going to flip the switch and then you're going to be comfortable with it forever. It doesn't work out like that. And so I was just mortified. And I told them, and I feel so bad because there was no preparation. There was no, I'm going to get you ready to have this conversation. It was very much like, here it is. I have alopecia. I've had it for, over a decade. And it just sucks. I just cried. I cried and I cried. I remember him just holding me on the couch and just being like, babe, it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's not. And like, I was so angry. I was so angry to hear it again and to also hear again that there is no cure. Oh my God, I was so upset. I still get upset a little bit. And yeah, so I shared that with him, and he was just so supportive. Really, he was so, he just kept looking at me and just saying, I just want you to be okay. I don't care, but I just want you to be okay. You can do whatever you want. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to get treated? Like, what, and what was also so scary, super scary for me actually, is that the doctor, she did say that there was a solution, but if I were to do that, I couldn't have children.
Wow.
Which is a very sensitive thing for me right now, given, we've been married for 2 years. We really want to start a family. And then as I'm sitting there listening to a doctor, she's pretty much giving me a choice. Okay, so you get to have children, or you can, try this new drug that we don't know. And then she said, oh, and you can get 5% of your hair back. And I looked at her, why do I want 5% of my hair back?
I mean,
and not have children.
Right. Like,
what's wrong?
Who came up with this? Some dude definitely came up with that equation.
And then she says, well, you can have your babies and come back. Okay. That's also not that simple. So, so I shared with him what happened. And then he looks at me, he's like, so what do you want to do? And I'm just like, is that a real question? Of course not. I'm not going to do that. It is what it is. And, I just, put myself together and, I decided, of course, we're having children. I'm not going to take this drug. That's crazy, blah, blah, blah. And, but when this whole thing happened, that was at night after the whole day had already gone by, after I had already gone to my hairdresser who lives like an hour and a half from here. Go in there, take the thing off, come back to the doctor, get the biopsy. Actually, that day I went shopping for wigs because after that doctor's appointment, I was so upset. And so I went to a wig shop, tried a bunch of stuff, and drove back over there and drove back. So that day I drove like 6 hours total, went to the doctor, got the same diagnosis, went wig shopping, delivered the news to my husband. So by the end of the night, I was done. And I think that at that moment I said, this is it. This is the last time I'm going to hear this. And it's only up from here because I'm not like, I think that's when I put it to rest, really. I think that's when I put it to rest. And I said, okay, he knows. I know what's going on. And I know right now there is no cure. There is no solution. And I was already kind of over it anyway. So I'm just going to move past it. But then I realized, because I have two papers, both papers still, I don't know why I keep them, but I have both papers. I have my paper from like 2006, I want to say, or 2008. And the one from a couple of years ago, both with the same thing. And I'm just looking at it and I'm thinking, 10 years, Valerie. What have you done in the last 10 years? And that's what was so eye-opening to me, thinking that I have been in this cycle of, yes, I've done a lot of great things, but still, I didn't fully live my life. I really didn't. And, we can go into it a little bit, but like, I just really got how so many things I didn't do because of this. And nothing has changed. Not on paper, not on my head. It just didn't. And I just missed so much of my life that no, and it's just talking about it, I get chills. I had to make something. I had to do something, and I had to do something for myself. I realized I can't. At that point, I was already in different support groups, and I think that was like the biggest change was, okay, I get to do something about this for myself, for this community, for all the other women, that I am not allowing you to spend 10 years of your life not playing full out because you have hair loss. Absolutely not. And that's when I decided I'm going to take this upon myself. And because it can't be, you like, no, we only have one life. And so, I just, the thing started, going in my head, and the wheels started turning. And also, in order to do this, that meant that I would have to do a completely 360 in my business. Not just be a coach, but specialize in this, and what does that look like? What do you have to go? What kind of, I just wanted, I had to do a complete change, right? Like, literally. And how do I explain that to my husband? And is he going to be okay with it? And then the biggest thing, as you know, is in order to reach out to this community, I had to be authentic myself, because who am I to coach women on being authentic and powerful and unapologetic about their hair loss if I'm not going to do it myself?
Yeah.
So that's when the biggest stretch came of, okay, like, Gino, my husband, already knows. Now what's next? And it was to, really be open about it with everyone. And, that was nerve-wracking, but I think when I finally did it, I was ready. I was ready. It was such a freeing moment. And of course I did it. And I think I've shared this in the interviews. I was still, playing little girl. So I was flying to Nashville, and I wrote the post right before the plane because I knew I was going to be in the air for 3 hours. And I didn't have to, respond to messages or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they said it's time to turn your phone off, I pressed send, post it, goodbye, see you in 3 hours. And when I got to Nashville, then I got in the Uber. I did not want to, well, no, I did have to turn on my phone to get the Uber, but I didn't look at messages or anything until I was in the hotel room, also by myself, because I wanted to have that time to digest what was happening. But yeah, I mean, I think really what was really freeing for me was to open up to it to my husband, because I felt like I was lying to him. I don't think he sees it as lying, and it wasn't, I don't know. It felt like lying, but just because I didn't call it alopecia, but I also feel like it doesn't need to be called by a name, I don't know. So anyway, so now what has changed since then is that I am not wearing that permanent hair system anymore.
Yeah. Before we get there, I have to say, thank you for being so open, for being so vulnerable and raw and real. And it's super inspiring. So thank you for going there, and thank you for sharing it all, because it takes so much courage, and you're really offering like the full spectrum of the whole experience. You've touched on so many points that I know so many will resonate, whether it's a woman who is, thriving through alopecia, or somebody like me who doesn't have alopecia, but there's other things in my life that I can so relate to, the things that we hold from our partner, the things that we are afraid to come out come out and be vulnerable about and authentic about that hold us back. It's like the self-created prison. And we do it from a space of wanting to keep these tender spaces like safe. And I honor you because it takes a lot of courage to go there and to desire to be visible. And it's like that calling of, what am I here to bring into the world? And really listening to that and honoring that calling in such a courageous way. Because you could have still kept like tiptoeing around it and doing other things, but you said, no, I'm listening loud and clear and I'm going to step in. So yeah, amazing.
And I had it, and like you said it perfectly. And this is a true story. It was literally a calling. I went to a retreat in Massachusetts with Sarah Jenks, and it was there that all of this got created. And literally through a meditation or visualization, like the whole thing came to me. And I was reading it the other day. Everything. And I don't think I've ever been so clear in my life. I wrote like 4 pages of what it was going to look like for me to serve this community. And I wrote like everything, like even the name, what I stand for, what am I going to teach women, everything. Like, what am I going to stand for them? How, like everything. What am I going to do? All of it. And then I came home and I didn't share the whole vision with my husband. It was started with the podcast. So I said, I want to do a podcast, blah, blah, blah. And, but I think it's been since that day, and it was so clear. And it's still so clear to this day that that's what it is. And it's such a beautiful feeling to wake up in the morning and know exactly what you're here. Why are you here? What are you creating? And I think, just since that day, it's been amazing to just focus on that mission, because it definitely has become my mission.
Yeah. Yeah. And even within that, stepping into the calling, and I love how, and you described it, and I've witnessed it too. It's been like a flowering process. Like the layers keep opening up and opening up and opening up. And it's almost like this most recent, evolution in how you're showing up and stepping out is so crazy powerful, because I knew you as amazing. I was on your podcast, and I had no idea, you then, I felt like an honor when you shared it with me, in an intimate conversation of like, I'm feeling this, and then where do I take it from? Like you were putting the pieces together, weaving together what it would mean to take that really bold next step forward. And I remember being like, wow. And as I've seen, again, this vision truly materialize and come to life and ignite in this just amazing, magnificent way, it's just so powerful and such a testament to what happens when we keep leaning in and we support ourselves and we resource ourselves and we trust that voice that says, you know what, this is more, my vision is more important than the discomfort that might come through the. So tell us, I love, again, and recently, and you've shared even more like visually, like, taking the piece out and taking us wig shopping with you. And I say this because I feel like I've been with you every step of the way as you've shared on social. So all of that more of like an outward, because it's like that big turning point of telling your husband, which was clearly a very sacred like moment in the evolution. And now there's this like big visibility stretch that you've been on. Tell us, like, every time you're going to now share and post, what does that feel like for you?
Well, I think that moment, when I shared, when I due to COVID, and okay, so I've been wearing this system for 5 years, or I had been wearing it for 5 years, and I will go get it adjusted to my hairstylist. She was in a car accident, and that left her, same thing as my accident, in the ICU. And she was unconscious for about 2 days, and nobody could go see her because of COVID. And I had just talked to her. I had talked to her on Friday. This happened on Saturday. And on Friday, she said she hasn't been, she wasn't able to do my hair for 2 months because of COVID. And she called me on Friday and she said, Val, I think they're going to reopen the salons. I know this is so important to you. I want you to be the first. This is how caring she is. So she always like took me first. I was like one of the last people at her salon before COVID started, and she wanted to get me in first. And she said, let's set up an appointment. Okay, great. And then this happened on Saturday. And yeah, I feel like I relived everything when that happened to her. And I think that's also why, like, in the last month, I guess, when that happened to her again, it was almost like a second wake-up call. Like, Valerie, you already had your opportunity, which was, I don't know, 5 years. I think it was the accident. And what did you do? Like, that's literally how I felt. And what did you do? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're doing good, but you get to take it to the next level. And gosh, I was just telling the story. Yeah. Like, also all the feels again. And really, Theo, I don't know if you're gonna watch this, but like her accident, like really, really shook me. I think that was, it was like it happened to me all over again. And so her being in the hospital, I started thinking, then like I thought at some point, like, oh shit, like what do I do on my hair? And then I started feeling guilty about it. Why are you thinking about your hair? You're always unconscious in the hospital. That is the least of your concerns. And like, I just had this like rage and like just wanted to take it off, but like it doesn't work out like that. Because I would have had to like literally shave my head or do what I did, which is I literally just poured myself a glass of wine and locked myself in the bathroom I remember her telling me that it will come like, because there was times that I will get like, because it's glued with tape. So she gave me the spray, and interesting enough, also for those of you who don't know this tip, if you use hand sanitizer, also helps remove the glue. And so we have lots and lots of days. So I went into the bathroom. And yeah, I just locked myself in the bathroom with a glass of wine and some hand sanitizer and the spray. And I was determined to take it off. But it was in honor of Theo, in honor of myself, and all the years that I was depending on something or somebody, because that's all I kept thinking. And I just kept telling myself, like, I don't need, and I started feeling guilty. This is how trippy this was. Because I was thinking to myself, holy shit, did I cause this accident? Is she in the hospital? So I have the balls to remove my hair and forget about this and stop hiding the way I'm hiding? Like, there were so many thoughts that I was having. It was insane. So I just kept praying and just saying, she's going to come back. She's going to be conscious. But I'm not going to put this on here, and I'm just going to get rid of this thing. And I just became desperate of wanting to take it off because I didn't want to put it on her, and I just wanted to focus on her recovery. And I just wanted to be free because I realized, like, I can't depend on my hair anymore. I don't want that. I don't want to depend on my appearance anymore. And yeah, so I managed to take it off.
It sounds like you went through like a ritual. It was like a ritual experience of everything. Like those are the moments that like activate us and initiate us into the next phase. Powerful.
Definitely. And I will never forget. Also, because I decided that I was going to do it on camera. Because I was like, if this needs to end, then it needs to end right now. And I want to show other women that they can do it too. And that the moment I take off that hairpiece, I'm still going to be me. And also showing that to my husband because he wasn't in the bathroom with me, obviously. So coming out and also him being like the first, person to see it, and me being like, all right, well, this is what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was definitely a ritual, and it has been so amazing the last, I guess it's been the last month and a half or so, um, to be able to remove my hair daily, to work out with no, I mean, don't get me wrong, this hair is beautiful, but it's hot. So like to work out without it, to sleep without it, to there are weekends and I'm like, screw it. And yes, I have like I look, like my hair is like this much.
Mm-hmm.
Really. And it's fine. I don't know, I feel so free and so happy that the feeling is so good that sometimes it makes me sad, but in a good way, because I'm thinking, why didn't I do this early?
Mm-hmm.
My mother told me the other day, she said, Val, why didn't you do this before? I'm like, I don't know, because I'm dumb. Like, I could have done this so long ago. That's been also another experience. That's why I'm actually, just so inspired to advocate for not.
Yeah, and that fires you up more to bring that into the awareness of other women, and also how powerful that you're doing this now, because you could have spent another 10 years and then, I mean, so still it's like honoring the fact that this is the moment that it had to happen, and so that you could gain all that journey and experience to take your calling to the next level. And there's still so much to go and so much to experience and so many people to impact. It's
right. And so then from then, I just needed to do something else, and that's when I decided to create this mini series, and it just goes on and on, right? Like, I'm just so excited that what's next? Where do I get to go? Who do I get to talk to? Who am I going to reach out to? And also, as I get to engage with all the women that are already being leaders in the space, I'm just, I want to take it even further, right? I feel like we really my goal is to make talking about alopecia, or yes, make it something that you get to talk about, like having diabetes, right? Like, if you have diabetes, is that a big deal? No. Or if you have high cholesterol, is that a big deal? No. It doesn't. Yeah, it's something that you have, but it doesn't stop you from being yourself. It doesn't stop you from living a full life, from being in relationship with people, from connecting with people, from showing who you are, being your authentic self. Like, there are so many restrictions that we self-impose because it's not even, nobody's telling you, oh, because you have alopecia, you can't be in a relationship, or, you don't get to show who you are. You don't get to be fully self-expressed. Now, we impose those restrictions on ourselves. So my goal with everything that I'm doing is to just normalize this, because you get to be normalized, and you get to wear the hair. Just like, culturally, there are different cultures that are already doing it and have been doing it for so long, and we don't even know about it. So we all get to wear the hair and be okay with that. And we all get to have alopecia and be cool with it. Just like having, diabetes or high cholesterol or whatever. Like, this needs to get normalized.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've talked about I just want to get into a little bit even more like tactically, like, where is your vision taking you now? Like, what do you see as the next springboard into how you're building your business, how you're making impact? Tell us a little bit about what you're creating right now.
Okay. So as far as my coaching practice, I'm still serving people one-on-one. I am launching a 6-month coaching program. It's a group coaching program because, as you're realizing being on the series, that community is so important, right? Because, like, the first thing that we do when we are diagnosed is isolate, and isolation kills your dreams. I'm 100% sure about that. So I think the community is so important. Also because it stretches you. Like, I've lived that myself, where when you have other people that are going through the same thing or that are watching you grow. When you're having a bad day, you can fall back on your community, right? So yes, I will hold your hand, until the end. But I think that having a community that supports you and that understands is so key. That's what I thought creating a group coaching program was going to, that I think, honestly, I have women that I've actually worked with and they're like, well, but you're so great one-on-one. Like, why do you want to do group coaching? Because you want to have that accountability and like, I can't even describe the power of community. I'm experiencing it myself right now just by doing this and like falling back into, all the women around the world that are now supporting me. Right. So I want you guys to have that, that same accountability and that community and, having those people. And like, it's just so important to have somebody that understands. And that also happened to me actually when, I was going through the growth process with my own coaches and my own therapist. Because it's different when they haven't experienced. And I don't want to be mean, but it's different when somebody that has gone through hair loss is talking about it, right? Different than if I go to a therapist that has never lost their hair and they're like, well, it's going to be okay. It's just hair. No, it's not. And you don't know what that feels like. So, so I just think it's so important to be around people that have gone through it. And just, I get to share with you everything that has worked for me. All like everything. And I'm a structured kind of person.
And so I can imagine you're bringing a really holistic approach to this because I know who you are. So I can imagine this is like super comprehensive, hitting like all areas of mental, emotional, spiritual, like the structure, the resources. Like I can just, this woman's like, I know what happens in her brain because my brain is wired similarly. So we always bring a really holistic approach to everything we do. So I can imagine this is a really powerful space to grow and shift and feel seen and really like lit up.
Yeah. And which is the biggest part is being seen. And, I get to help you stretch into that because that was my biggest thing is that, I love that you mentioned that because so I've been called for a while now, right? But it was that thing that was missing is that it was all in my head, right? Like I wanted to help. I wanted to make a difference. But that is not possible until you start showing up. Until you're being seen, right? Like there was no way for me to do this behind the scenes. There is no way for me to make a difference if I'm not talking to people. There is no way for me to create a legacy if I'm not reaching out to people that I've never known, in my life, to all the organizations that I reached out to, in the past, I don't know, less than a year, and say, hey, how can I help you? In June, I'll be I'll be going with the National Alopecia Foundation to talk to our legislators to see how we can finally pass a law that is going to make hair a medical device.
Wow.
But it took me contacting NAF and saying, how can I help you? And this is the change that I want to make. And it really takes getting out of your comfort zone to make a difference. So that's what I want for you too, right? Like for me, what it looks like is just going full on and trying to serve this community in every possible way, from the organizations to coaching to showing up in social media, spreading the message, raising awareness. To me, what that looks like is like this has literally become what I do in every way at all times of the day, 24/7. For you, it might look differently, right? Like maybe for you is, rocking your career or being in an amazing relationship, being an amazing mom, like finally stepping into whatever it is that you want for your life fully. So that's what I want. And that's what I want to create for you. That's what I want to, be your partner in it. And so that's what I'm creating as far as the coaching side. And like I said, as far as showing up in the world, it's really, really showing up in every way. I want to get involved. Right now I'm already involved with all the organizations in the States, but as I'm speaking with, all the women in the summit, I realized there are a lot of organizations in the UK, in Australia, but why not get involved with them too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who says that I can make a difference from here? We're we're all connecting via Zoom, so
yeah, get ready because changes are coming. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, one final beautiful gem that you can leave us with as we wrap up this incredible interview. What do you want to say to everybody watching?
I think the biggest thing for me, and as you heard me from my stories over and over again, is my biggest regret is that I didn't play full out because of my hair loss. I didn't allow myself to be fully self-expressed, to play big, to really, really go like, yeah, I did pretty awesome things, but I wasn't playing full out. And you get to play full out. So don't stop your life because of your hair loss. Just don't. And I know it's a process, right? Like it's not like, again, like I said, it's not something that you're going to flip a switch and it's going to be gone. No, you get to work on this daily. But just don't stop living your life because of it. But that's just like the one thing, whatever that looks like. And if you can take baby steps to get out of analysis paralysis and fear, do it. And that's also what I'm standing for you on this program, is to take it step by step, right? Until you finally, like you said, because you've seen it, Maria Leandra, it's like you get to feel all the layers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the scariest one is at the beginning, and then you go deeper and deeper and deeper until what you finally get to see is your fully raw, authentic, magnificent, powerful self. So you can live a full life.
Yes, all of that. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, girlfriend. Oh, well, Valerie, thank you. Thank you for, first of all, thank you for giving me the honor to be in the space with you. When you called me and asked if I would be up for this, I had my heart just skipped like 27 beats because I was like, oh my God, it's not every day that someone reaches out for something so special. So I want to say thank you personally for giving me the honor of creating this experience with you. And I want to say thank you on behalf of all the women, all of us, for stepping up in your power and for being vulnerable and authentic and showing what's possible and creating massive change that's going to trickle to even beyond what we can see right now. It's powerful. And I want to congratulate you and honor you for creating this incredible interview series and the past one that you had, and for the future program. I'm just imagining all the incredible women that you get to serve. You guys, Val is so the real deal, and it's just an honor to play with you in the space of being a behind the scenes supporter for what you're up to. So again, I honor you, I acknowledge you, I celebrate you. And to everybody out there, send this girl some love, lots of love and lots of appreciation, because I know she's put a lot of passion and joy and beautiful, passionate work into this series and what she's up to. So I love you, girl.
I love you too. And thank you for, being there for me and being a cheerleader.
Yeah.
And, allowing me to also figure it out on my own, because I think that what I loved about our conversations is that I always felt like you knew that it was there, and you were just like, girl, just keep going. Like you knew, you were like, just, you got this. Yeah. So you allow me to figure it out on my own. And so here we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
For witnessing me and believing in me and, just being there for the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, thanks to everybody for watching. And again, my name is Maria Leandra. It's been a pleasure to be with you here today and interview this beautiful woman. And I hope to see you around. Val, I love you. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Love everyone.
Mwah. Bye, guys.